long story. But I mean, modern capitalism has, in my view, but that's a long story, reached the end of its rope, and it cannot survive as a system. And what we are seeing is the structural crisis of the system. So the structural crisis goes on for a long time. It really started, in my view, more or less in the 1970s. It will go on for another 20, 30, 40 years. It's not a crisis of a year or of a short moment. It's a major structural unfolding of a system, and we're in transition to another system. And in fact, the real political struggle that's going on in the world, though most people refuse to recognize it, is not about capitalism, should we have it or should we not have it, but what should replace it. And that, of course, you can have two very different kinds of views on what should replace it.
What's your view?
Well, I would like a more relatively democratic, more relatively egalitarian world. That's one view. We've never had that in the history of the world. It's possible. The other view is that you have a very unequal, polarizing, exploitative system. It doesn't have to be capitalism. Capitalism is that. But you can do that in many other ways, some of which may be far worse than capitalism. So that's the way I see the political struggle. That's technically called a bifurcation of a system.
So the bifurcation of the capitalism system is directly linked to the economic chaos.
Yes, its roots are in many ways the impossibility of continuing the basic principle of capitalism, which is ceaseless accumulation of capital. And that's the whole point of capitalism as a system, and it's worked in some ways marvelously well for 500 years. It's been an extremely successful system in what it has tried to do, but it has undone itself, as all systems do.